Sooner Nation, Thunder Nation, we are back. This is the Just Okay Sports podcast. That's just Oklahoma sports and a very average podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Daryl. You know Troy, you know Jared, and we have a special guest tonight, the one and only Tim, who's going to join us, who is the fantasy expert of all experts, because tonight is our fantasy kind of preview mania. We've never come up with a name for this.
I call it the fantasy extravaganza.
Extravaganza. Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. It would be great. Tim, thank you for joining us tonight, my friend.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. And so, how exactly have you been forced to know Troy and claim that you have some kind of relationship with him like the rest of us?
Yeah, I only have to see Troy 2 days a week in person.
Oh, okay.
So that's good for me. But Troy started working for me on the, kind of the full-time gig. Back, it was probably early mid-January. Took a little bit longer than we thought it was going to. Started kind of the conversation and right around Christmas time. Took a few weeks. Troy got in. Troy does a great job for us.
That's awesome.
Good to have him in the office.
See?
Can talk about
I
sports.
don't suck, y'all. See?
No, he does a good job.
He knows how to play politics, Troy. You don't throw people under the bus publicly on the podcast. You do that.
Can you blink if Troy's making you say that against your will?
I cannot confirm or deny.
Oh, man.
Right, fine. I see how that's gonna be.
This is there needs to be a meme with the picture of Tim saying all those things. Says, if I win the lottery, there will be signs, and this is them. Troy's putting in his note, or Tim's putting in his notice tomorrow that he's done. He's out.
I have to keep Troy around because we had a team meeting yesterday. It was quick. It was early in the week, and we have a lot of OSU fans on our team. So we had to bring Troy in as a ringer, kind of, to give us a little backup because we've dwindled down as far as OU support over the years. So we
needed it. We needed it.
I understand the church I pastor is filled with orange, OSU and Texas.
Are you serious? I had no idea.
Yeah. There's 3 families, 1, 2, 3, four that are true OU folk, and then the rest.
Do you ever
are
wear
OSU.
an OU polo in the pulpit?
I'm trying. Yes, because we did a Team Sunday type thing, where you wore your team color stuff. But I had to wear the Texas one the year that we lost. That was my bet with the Texas family, was that I would wear the Texas polo while I got the Sunday going. So that was awful. But he did have to wear it the next year, which was awesome. So it came back around like it always does. So how about we start with some sports locally before we get into our extravaganza? Can we do that? Is that fine, Troy? You good with that? Jared, you good with that?
You're the host most days, so I'm whatever you say, D. Okay.
Well, we had a scrimmage this past weekend. There's been a lot of message board conversation. There's been a lot of reporting. There's been a lot of different things about it. So, Jared, I'll start with you because you are our true wise sage when it comes to college football. So,
when did that happen?
I mean,
that 14 points per game defense last year. That was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Who picked the Thunder to win 50 games? I think it was only one of us. But anyways,
we're talking college football.
And who was on Kip Lewis train? Who was on the Kip Lewis train? Literally before you ever.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
You still didn't do anything last year. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So my thoughts on it's so hard. Scrimmages are so hard because obviously going into the season, going into this off season, the spring, everything we've heard is that the defense is improved, which they were already the strength of the team. So I think everybody expects the defense to be a lot better than the offense. So I understand there being a little bit of oh crap, what's going on sort of thing. And there's obviously been bad news with Jaden Gibson and some of those things coming out of camp. But I feel like people always read into scrimmages way more than they should. And I think people are really freaking out. I mean, it was the year, I think it was even Kyler's year that he won the Heisman. People were Kyler didn't look good in practice. What is it? He's going to be throwing picks every play. And people were freaking out, right? It's a normal thing. So yeah, you wish you heard better, but we obviously already expect the defense to be better. So the fact that We've heard some things about Jackson Arnold not looking good and the pocket collapsing so quick and things like that. It's like, I would just be like, take a step back, think what we were all saying just a week or 2 weeks ago, and then put it in that context and be like, okay, maybe it's not as bad as we think. Like, obviously, you wish that they were more evenly paired. But I just don't think, I think like it's an expected result. I don't understand. I really can't understand the level of freak out that people are having right now over it.
All right. Let's go to the guest next. Tim, how do you feel about it?
I mean, to me, I mean, typically this time of year, usually, well, maybe not for OU, but in most, I would say most in SEC, especially the defense is probably ahead of the offense, right? So let's not get too overly worried. We still have 2+ weeks. Beat Bo, do some magic with some of these guys. I mean, maybe they shuffle some guys in, around, whatever it may be. I would say probably offensive line wise, I mean, maybe it's not even the same combination we're going to see in early October, right? So I don't know. I guess it's is looking good. Stutzman and those guys. I mean, obviously that's encouraging. Concern, obviously, quarterback, I would say, because as he goes, I think the team will go. Got to get those playmakers the ball, but I'm not overly worried at this point as far as the offensive line. I think that it's a good thing defense.
Sure. All right, Troy, you're ready to unleash, so go.
Because no. I love the level-headedness because what we're about to hear for everybody listening, all three of them, Daryl's about to unleash his darkness. Like, this is what Daryl does. When Daryl hears darkness, he latches on and becomes the darkness. Okay. When he hears the light, he pushes it away and says, let's not get overly excited about this. I mean, Jared, is this not how Daryl operates?
And he has, I'd say he has like really strong confirmation bias. Like, if you hear something negative about the O-line, that is gospel, right? But if you hear a positive, then all of a sudden he's like, well, you can just write that off because they're being nice. And I'm like, bro, like, pick one. So
all right, going back to the actual football thing, is it a little alarming? Sure, but after listening to Teddy Lehman a little bit, they were throwing literally the kitchen sink at Jackson, and they weren't stopping. They went at him every possible way. They're literally throwing the kitchen sink at the dude, right? And I know he threw some interceptions, had one really terrible interception. At the end of the day, we want him to get those kind of reps. We want him to see this because this is what he's about to face in the SEC, boys. Like, so we want him to get that kind of experience, all the different looks. And yes, he's going to take his bumps and bruises along the way. He's a first-year starter. We saw that in the bowl game. We're talking about Jackson Arnold specifically. I'm not surprised that the defense is dominating in the scrimmage so far. I'm not, right? Dudes out on the O-line, dudes out on wide receiver, holding we don't even have our major playmakers out there for the most part, right? So Burks is out there, but outside of that, like they're holding Nick Anderson out. They're holding Farouk out. Andrew Anthony's back yet. So like, and Jaden Gibson's hurt. So 4 of our top 5 not playing, right? So like, I heard there's some running game was good, but I love that I'm hearing that about the specifically the back 7 as well, holding down the front while he can't find any pocket to throw in. Cool. That's what we want as a defense. So we got that. I like the experience that Jackson's getting in all of this. Fire away, Daryl.
I don't disagree with that part. I said that 2 weeks ago that Latrell and all those guys at the coaches' luncheon said we knew his decision-making needed to improve. So we have thrown everything at him all spring, all summer to help him get there. Now, here's the problem. You have a game in 15 days. And what we just heard was that one of his interceptions was absolutely atrocious. We know that he turned the ball over on a zone read where he didn't do a good job of actually getting the ball where it needed to be one way or the other. The other interception was bad. Now, one of his interceptions was apparently a really good throw that went right through the hands of the receiver, got deflected, and a DB gets it. That's not on him. But 3 of them are. That's bad decision-making. What did we see against Arizona? Bad decision-making. Like, this is not like, don't give me this is just he's playing a really, really good defense. Like, what do you think Bama's going to do? They're going to do the same thing. And honestly, they have a better talent pool on that side of the ball than we do by the blue chip ratio. So I know that they may not have the experience, but you can't deny they have more 5-stars on that side of the ball than we do right now. I mean, so that
I don't disagree. I have a question after you finish your rant here.
And then the other one that Ted Lehman did say on his podcast, and this is what concerns me. One thing that Ted Lehman does really well is he will say, somebody did this. They had a lot of tackles in the game, but because Teddy Lehman doesn't hold back, he will say, yeah, they had a lot of tackles, but on some of those things, it wasn't actually sound football. It just turned out good, right? His words were that he had no time, no pocket, no whatever, and the pass rush wasn't anything overly exotic. And the way he was framing it was, you didn't see PJ doing some kind of wicked spin move on the tackle to get to Jackson Arnold. You weren't seeing them do some, just otherworldly move of a pass. It was just straight up just pushing the pocket back. And look, I've said it over and over. And today it was corroborated. Did y'all hear what Brent Venable said today in his presser?
Please enlighten us.
Freshman defensive ends are definitely going to have to play for us on the edge. Now, what does that tell you about the older guys? They're not great.
Who would that be? Is that's Okoye
and maybe Nigel Smith?
Nigel Smith, that's what I was thinking of.
Probably those two. So again, if we've seen our Mason Thomas have some really wicked pass rush moves where you go, okay, that's pretty elite. But Ted Lehman made it sound like it was just straight up just bullying the offensive line into the backfield. And we're going to see the first game in the SEC is Tennessee, who supposedly has the best D-line in the country. So yeah, they got 15 days. Maybe Beatonbow figures it out by then. But am I encouraged? No. What I would be encouraged with is this. The defense stifled the offense, but Jackson Arnold didn't have 4 turnovers. He had 1. That would encourage me, right? And by the way, the FSU game 2 years ago sounds a lot like the practice. We actually ran the ball pretty good against FSU in the Cheez-It Bowl. But when it came to pass protection, it was a disaster. Dylan was running for his life in that game. And he made some incredible plays despite it. But we could run the ball, but it struggled to pass. So I understand the defense should be ahead. I understand that they should be better. I understand that they're elite at all 3. I get all that. But all the reports do not sound like the offense was capable. And the main culprit was decision-making and the offensive line. And those are the 2 main concerns we had. If it had been drops, we could all say, well, Jaden Gibson didn't play. Nick Anderson did. There's a reason. Right now, you got the best guys you think you got the offensive line getting abused, and you got the best 5-star quarterback back there that can't make decisions. So, I'm not saying the sky's falling yet, but I don't hear that report and go, I think we're progressing. I think we've gotten better since the spring. It doesn't make me feel that either.
I think what Jared and Tim said is apropos. Let's see it play out in Temple in 15 days. Let's just take a breath, right? The sky is not falling.
Okay, but Troy, before this practice, what did we think was going to happen against Temple?
I have no idea at this point. We're gonna win by 30.
Troy, $1,000 yesterday. If I'd have said I $1,000 bet that Temple beats Oklahoma, what are you taking?
I'm taking the opposite.
Okay, that's how confident you are in the game. So let's not see what happens against Temple. Come on, man.
But we have said that every single year when we have a new quarterback, from Sam Bradford to Kyler to Jason White to Baker. Every year is we think he could be good, but let's see how he does in the first game or two as they get their feet underneath them.
We'll see.
Wrong?
Nah, yeah. I mean, we'll see. But it's going to be a whole different test in that first game for sure against Tennessee.
So here, I got a question for all you boys. The defense, it looks to be much improved. Best defense we've had in 10, forever. 15 years, right? Even longer, possibly. Where do you think we rank in our defense in the SEC?
I think it's probably like I would say, I don't know everybody, but I would say at best be fourth, fifth.
I was thinking,
It's
I was
top
thinking
five.
fifth. Yeah, I was thinking fifth, sixth.
I was
Now,
gonna say
the problem is,
the ceiling is 2 and the floor is 5. Personally,
oof.
I mean,
That's
I feel like
I
depth
think
wise,
this
I
team's gonna
don't
be.
know. You lose Stutzman, Billy Bowman, it's gonna be trouble. I feel like.
Oh well, they're still deep at both of those positions though. Even though they are the best, probably the 2
Stutzman
best
would be
players
a
on the entire
huge
team.
blow. There's no question, but I agree.
Sure.
I think you're going to see a lot of rotation at linebacker, and I think everyone's going to be very impressed with it. And I think you're going to see a lot of rotation at safety, and everyone's going to be very impressed with. Like, again, those would be losses. I don't want to, but I don't think that.
Yeah.
Like
agreed.
last year, if Stutzman, we saw.
We
I mean,
saw
the
in
games
Dublin.
that Stutzman didn't play, we lost. I mean, that's the difference he made. I don't think it'll be that way this year.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think the linebacker room is probably the deepest room on the roster.
What's the thinnest room on the roster?
O-line.
O-line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe tight end
kicker.
still. I'm not sure what Jake Roberts really is.
Apparently they're running 2 tight end sets right now.
I wonder why.
I mean, you're going to have to. You're going to have to, our wide receivers are going to have to beat them.
Yeah, but that's the style of that offense that oh my God, I'm blanking on the offense coordinator's name now.
Seth Luttrell.
Seth Luttrell.
Luttrell. Yeah, Luttrell. I mean, he's even said that he's more of a tight end. Like he runs heavier tight end than even Levy did.
Yeah, he loves
I don't.
it.
We've got more depth than last year. We literally only had Stogner last year.
Yeah.
The only dude we had on the roster that could play.
Yeah. And again, I hope I haven't heard anything about Caden Helms in the scrimmage, which discourages me, but I just keep hoping he'll be healthy for the start of the year and we can see what he can or can't do would be awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, enough on that. Troy, take it away. It is the fantasy football extravaganza.
Let's talk some fantasy football. Tim, Daryl and I have been in the same league for this 13th year coming up.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Our punishment, our last place punishment was actually on the interwebs, social media, the news.
Remember hearing about it.
Yeah. The walk to Paycom Center for Jimmy Quinn.
It's true.
So yeah, we are very competitive at this. Jared also plays a lot, but like you said, you haven't played in a little while.
Yeah, I won my should I tell him about the league that I was in that I just was set up for future success and then it folded?
Yes.
So we had a keeper league, and the rule is that we had $200 budget. And if you kept a player, you could keep them as long as you wanted. And you had to add I don't remember if it was 10 or 15% onto their salary, but it had to be a whole dollar amount. So if you had somebody for $1, it just went up to $2 and so forth and so on, whatever. I had Baker Mayfield, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson. Who else did I have for $1? I don't know. I had those three for $1. I had Joe Mixon for less than $10.
On a $200 budget.
On a $200 budget. And so I was just so I won the league the last 2 years, and then it was gonna keep going, but then the guy that was our commissioner, he had another kid, so we had to fold, is what he said. And I was like, it's really because I was just gonna dominate the league for the next 10 years. But okay, so but that's now I'm a free agent. I have every league that I've been in is either folded or I've gotten kicked out. Another one everybody just did not know what to do with fantasy, so I dominated that league 5 years in a row, and they were like, yeah, we just kind of honestly don't want you to come back. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. So, see you guys.
Tim, how many leagues are you in that? That's yeah, just don't come back. You're too
I mean, there's not really too many. There's a couple after this year I might exit. It's just not worth it. Some of these, but I play mostly with just random people.
Right.
different discords, things like that. So, and there's like 2 or 3. I'm just like, there's no way. Just some of the people in there, just it's tough. It's a challenge sometimes.
Yeah.
Trades are a challenge. It's tough. So.
All right. So I want to start the conversation off with fantasy football tonight by asking about I want to ask about like draft strategies for a little bit. What's your favorite draft strategy? And do you think the real question I want to ask, do you think that the dominant running back will ever be a part of fantasy again?
I think we'll probably know in the next year or so, right? I mean, you got CMC
why
now.
do you say that? Yeah.
Well, all right, you got CMC now, and really the last 2-3 years it's been CMC at the top, right? And you've had these guys, Dalvin Cook, Kamara, I mean Aaron Jones, like guys that were top 12 guys, that kind of get a little bit older, right? And maybe not the best situation anymore. Things changed. Now you look at it, you got Brees, you got Bijan. So really you have 3 legitimate guys now, and you look at the 25 class coming in, Travion Henderson, Junkins from Ohio State, you got Ali, you got that kid from Boise State. If they go to good situations and aren't split backfields, and you really get that bell cow 20 carry a game guy, I don't see why it can't.
What do you think, Daryl?
I mean, yes, I think it will. Look, like there's no doubt that from now on the NFL is going to be a passing league more than anything else, for sure. We just lost Jared.
We did just lose Jared.
But I would say that the other thing that happens a lot, right, is the trend of, okay, everybody's setting up to play nickel defense and defend the pass everywhere. And eventually there's going to be somebody like the Warriors kind of did, right? In basketball, like they're the ones who changed the whole game by saying, we're going to the 3-point shot consistently, right? And the big man's dead. Well, now you got Chet, now you got Wemby, which they shoot threes, I understand. But the big man is kind of returning in a different way in that sense. And I think you're going to start seeing more guys that are, think about this. Can we agree that 2 of the most dominant running back guys in fantasy history were Marshall Faulk and LaDainian Tomlinson?
Oh,
and,
no.
And they were CMC before CMC was that type of back. They caught the ball, they ran routes, they ran the ball. Like they were the do it everything Swiss Army knife guy. And now you're starting to see more and more guys like that. Bijan's like that, you know, Gibbs is that way. And so, yeah, I think eventually there's going to be a team that's just going to commit to run first. And they're just going to find a dude like that. And you're going to start seeing 5, 6, 7 of those guys, and they're going to return to the top.
I think the big problem, though, is the salary, though. Like, they're not giving running backs salary. And when they go past 25 years old, it's like you have to be Christian McCaffrey or you're not getting another contract.
But that's the thing. Right now, he's the only one, right?
Well, okay. Well, all right. In your opinion, who are the most talented, not the best, the most talented running backs in football right now? Take away fantasy. Who's the most talented running backs in football right now?
CMC is definitely the one.
He's the one. There's another one that screams he's insanely talented too.
Which is?
Saquon.
Yeah. If he can stay healthy. I mean, that's been his biggest knock is health. I mean, Gibbs, I think
Jonathan Taylor as well.
Jonathan Taylor's a stud. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be that guy eventually. I think he is really, really good. Oh, dang. Well, I mean, he's on the back end of it now. Joe Mixon was that guy. He was just stuck in a terrible situation for the first 6 years of his career, right? Like, so he's not that great. And I still think Derrick Henry's one of the most talented guys too. I just don't know if his body will be able to hold up now. Now this year, you've got who's come in this year in the draft. You got Brooks that came in, that's way up there. There's another dude, something with an A.
What's his name from Florida State? They went to Arizona.
Yes. Alday. Yeah, I'm gonna completely whiff on it now.
A-Chain. It was
A-Chain. Yeah, I mean,
Miami.
there's some
dudes.
dudes.
Trey Benson?
Trey Benson, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's rookie this year.
He's the rookie in Arizona. Yeah.
So, we'll see. And maybe not. I mean, maybe it's just going to continue to be wide open forever, but
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you look at the landscape, right? And I mean, how many teams like go one running back? Like they gets 20, like in the old day, like I was a huge Jets fan. So Curtis
Right.
Martin, 30
Yeah.
carries every
Ugh.
single week, 30 carries, 30 carries, 30 carries, right? I mean, you just don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at these split backfields like the Cowboys, Zeke and Pollard the last couple of years. Even the Jets now that Brees Hall, they go out and get Braylon Allen from Wisconsin, and he's had a great camp.
Good point.
So are these teams going to like have one bell cow running back? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Who are the bell cow running backs right now? Like the dudes that you can be like, he's going to get 70% or more of the snaps and carries.
I mean, I think there's 3 of them. I think it's
You think? Go ahead.
CMC, Brees,
Uh-huh.
Bijan. I mean, I don't see Gibbs as bell cow. I mean, Montgomery's there.
What about Jonathan Taylor?
I think Taylor's one.
Yeah, Taylor could be one. He's not.
And Mixon has been for the most of his career, but I don't think he will be in Houston.
He won't be
That's
in
the
Houston
thing. I don't
now.
think he
Yeah.
will be in Houston now. But he has.
I think
been
James
before
Cook
then.
is about to be the next bell cow in Buffalo. There's nobody to contest with him.
Zamir White might be in Oakland too. Oakland's just not any good, but he might be the guy there for them.
Who's going to be the?
You look at a
Go
guy,
ahead.
James Cook, though, right? Like, he's not getting goal line touches. They just got that Ray Davis from Kentucky. He's going to be the goal line back. Josh Allen. I mean, he's scoring all the time, 1 yard out. Well, and it's going to be interesting to see in Buffalo what they do, losing Diggs and kind of how they transformed James Cook. I almost said Delvin. But it's going to be an interesting situation there, I think, too. But see how it works out.
Welcome back, Jared.
Yeah, I love Spectrum. God, it's so amazing.
That's Florida for you. By the way,
Yeah.
Tim, Jared moved to Florida a few months back.
Oh, nice.
It's been
A few months back. It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Holy crap! No way. Are you
Really 2
serious?
Nearly 2 years. Yeah.
Few months
2
back.
years?
Yeah. February of 2023. So yeah, in February.
Oh my! All right, never mind. Like, I think I'm just
A
gonna
few months, man.
Holy! I mean, it technically has been. So shut up.
Yeah.
A few months is 3 or more. All right. So okay. Sorry, Jared, you missed the dominant running back conversation. All right, I want to start here. We're not going to do like our top 5 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. We're not going to do that. By the way, I don't give a crap about defense or kickers. We're not talking about them all night.
Thank God, Troy.
Okay.
Thankfully.
Yes.
Thankfully.
I don't. Tim, in Daryl and I's league, we got rid of kickers. We were like, we're done with this. We went super flex.
That's my format right there. Defense and kickers just don't. I can't do it. Can't do it.
We did have one guy. You can only keep 2 teams or two keepers
Players
in our league, and one of the dude kept the Cowboys last year. And guess what? It freaking paid off for him.
Yeah, it did.
Because they were great as a defense. All right, so let's start at quarterback. Give me all 2 or 3 players underrated and overrated. We're not doing the best, but just underrated or overrated. Who wants to start?
Jared, because he just got back.
Yeah.
Overrated players.
Overrated, underrated at the quarterback position.
Okay. This one's like, I guess kind of I'm gonna go overrated just because I don't believe I don't know. I don't like his skill set. But he's a rookie, and I'm gonna go JJ McCarthy. I know a lot of people are high on him. He did have like a pretty decent stat line in the preseason game, but I'm like the dude just handed off the ball like a million times in college, and then everybody praised him for the national championship game and said like, oh, that shows how good of a quarterback he is. And it's like, dude, he threw the ball like 10 times total in that game. What are we talking about? So I just don't see. I just never saw anything in his game that I was like, I think he was a really, really, really good college football quarterback, and I just never see anything from him that makes me think that he's going to be anything better than a middling NFL quarterback.
He actually might be out by like for half the year or whatever. Torn meniscus.
Yeah. Well,
today.
Okay, didn't even know that, but yeah. And then
I'll
like Underrated. For quarterback, I'm gonna go Jordan Love. Even though a lot of people love him, I think he's gonna be like a top 3 or 4 quarterback in the league when it comes to fantasy.
I knew I loved you so much.
I think that's serious. I don't know if that's.
No, I'm serious. He might be one of my keepers. I'm not gonna give anything away to my fellow idiots in the league.
Yeah,
All
he's.
right, Tim,
I'm high on him.
Tim,
Let's see.
quarterback.
I got
Give me
a
a
couple underrated. You know a couple of these, Troy. Let's start Jordan Love. Same thing as Jared. I mean, I think he was QB5 last year. You can get him at QB10.
Hold on, was he really?
Yeah, if you look, I pulled up a couple of my 6-point passing touchdowns. He was QB5.
You are right. I just pulled it up.
He had he had a second half of the year, and first 4 games were really good too. And then he kind of had that down middle of the season. But like, who knows? Who number one should be a good run game. We'll see there. And typically Green Bay has a good quarterback. So there's my first one. Second one, Jared Goff, one of my guys. I think he was QB7 last year. Good thing about Jared Goff, like, plays great at home. They only play 3 games outside this year. Everything else is in a dome.
Wow.
That's a stat right there.
That
because
is
we all know
stat.
how Detroit.
Whoa, that's deep
That is a
dive.
huge one.
That's a deep dive.
That's why we brought you on, Tim, right there.
Those are my two other here, 2 wild cards.
Everyone's going to be wondering why Troy and I are bidding like crazy on Jared Goff in our auction now. And then when one of us gets it, he only plays 3 games outside.
Like Anthony Richardson's going to be interesting. Jaden Daniels going to be interesting. Got that floor with the rushing. Who knows what they'll do? Richardson was hurt last year. Jaden Daniels, who knows? In Washington, overvalued. CJ Stroud. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. Top 5 quarterback. I
don't know if I can go with you on that one, Tim.
I think this is a Justin Herbert all over again. After Justin Herbert's rookie year, I mean, he's going 3 in dynasty drafts behind Allen and Mahomes. I had him like 2nd round of dynasty drafts this year. I don't know. I think there's maybe too many mouths to feed. I don't know. He needs more than a year to prove it to me for my overvalued guy.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
All right. Daryl?
Well, welcome to the pod, Tim. My underrated is CJ Stroud. And I'll just go ahead and put it out conflict. There. And I will just go ahead and put it out there right now. I think he's going to end up being the fantasy MVP this season.
Oh my gosh.
Because of the weapons he has all around.
It is such a homer pick, Daryl.
No, dude, it's really not. I bagged on CJ Stroud his entire college career of how he was overrated. He was pathetic. He wasn't any good. Then he played Georgia and I went, oh my God, who's this guy? Then he gets drafted and it's like, oh my gosh, who's this guy? Like and look, Nico, Tank, Stefan. Now, granted, Stefan may not want to fall in line, but here's the deal. They won just fine without him being there. And that's the beauty a little bit. When you think about Stefan Diggs in Buffalo, he was really their guy. They needed Stefan Diggs. So I can understand him getting mad and throwing his fits about not getting the ball. When you're playing in Houston with 2 other wide receivers who have been awesome, they have a solid tight end in Schultz, and now you got Joe Mixon that you can throw it to out of the backfield. You're going to have to shut your mouth and be a team player, or they're just going to move on. It's just time to go. And so I think he could have an absolute breakout season. And the thing I look for, again, in quarterbacks that I think is the thing that differentiates guys is decision making. I'm with you. Herbert surprised me his rookie year, but when you go back and look, it's like Keenan Allen's just running free and it's just chunking him the ball down the field. There wasn't quick decisions being made all over the field in that rookie season. You started to see that kind of come to fruition when he plays his bigger game. So he's my underrated. My overrated, I'm going to go for another super, not make people happy. I think Jalen Hurts.
Oh, that was another one on my list, actually.
I know supposedly him and Sirianni, they mended fences or whatever, but let's not forget 2 things. One, it wasn't just Sirianni that was having the problems with him. His own teammates were in his face on the sideline, losing their minds, like AJ Brown multiple times with Jalen Hurts. And then you go all the way back to his 1 year at OU. When you talk to people behind the scenes, there was a lot of, by the end of his tenure at OU, he was starting to rub some people the wrong way and kind of starting to lose that locker room here because he's such a, you better come to work like this and have this attitude and do this. And if you don't, move on. And I just think that, especially in the NFL, guys, when it's a professional deal, you can't have like Saban clonism in yourself and it go well. So I think he might be in for another rough year as well.
I think here, can I give a real hot take on the NFL?
Yeah.
I think the Eagles are going to finish below 500.
Wow. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that
Jared,
far.
would you like to make a bet right now?
Well, no, hang on. Can I get my reason before people just think that I'm being
no. Go ahead. I'm still going to make the bet with you.
Their offensive line is aging. They lost Kelsey, obviously. He's retired.
Sure.
Lane Johnson is very quickly becoming a shell of his former self. Last year, you saw that really start to rear its head because people stopped the tush push. The tush push was dominant for what, like 2 seasons? Like, I mean, nobody knew how to stop it. And
how many times was it stopped last year?
At the second half of the season, a lot. Like, that's why they started losing games. That's why they lost, what was it? But I don't remember what it was, like 7 of their last 9 games or something insane. I don't remember what the schedule was exactly, but you could just see that started to come through. I think Jalen Hurts, without things like the tush push and some of those other things that have masked his deficiencies in other ways, are going to start to rear his head. So I think he's going to have a bad season. I think their defense is going to be good, but I think their offense is going to be honestly kind of bad.
Wow. Do you want to make a wager right now?
Yes, he does.
Jared?
I'll
give you even
Here,
dude.
Can I name the terms? Can I name the terms?
Sure. Go ahead.
Well,
go ahead.
This won't work because you're going to want it too soon. Could you say, like, Jared can pick a game that he wants and that you have to buy him that game, but he has to buy you that Star Wars game that he just refuses to have any part of, so that he has to invest his money in said Star Wars game?
That's too soon. That's too soon.
Dang it. Okay, never mind.
Because it comes out in like a week or two. So Jared, here's I think we'll do.
I think we did. By the way, y'all still owe me a dinner bet, I think.
Yes.
Or something.
No, we do. We do.
100%.
But here's I'll even give you 500. You know what? I'll go a game above 500. Anything there and below, you win the bet. Anything 2 games and above on 500, I win.
Okay.
He said okay.
Okay.
Now what do we bet?
Done.
Another meal?
We're betting. No,
games?
we're betting a Steam game. We're betting a Steam game.
Okay.
All right.
Gosh, that is.
Put it in the books, Troy. Put it in.
But see, you know what? I can respect you because you backed it up with your wallet. I can respect that. We have a lot of dudes that we know that do not back. They say outlandish things and they'll back that crap up. So
that's true.
Well, and look, I'm not just trying to like throw a hot take that's like trying to make a sound clip. Like I have legitimate reasons for.
I get it. Yeah.
So
I just disagree with you completely. Okay, here's my guys. All right, on quarterback, I've got 3 on each. I'll start with the overrated. I'm going to go Brock Purdy, overrated. About to lose Brandon Ayuk. Okay, George Kittle is getting older. No, Deebo Samuel can't stay healthy for a full season. And when Deebo wasn't in, what happened? They lost, right? What's going to happen with Ayuk's not in? They built a rapport. Ayuk is not going to play for the 49ers this year. And so what's going to happen? I think Brock Purdy overrated on his ADP right now. Caleb Williams, I'm going to go to my grave hating this dude, okay? Outside of the Texas game.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry. I think he can't make decisions. I know what he did in preseason. That's preseason. You're playing vanilla coverage, whatever. I don't think he's going to be as good as everybody thinks he is. And I hate to say it, I think Anthony Richardson is going to be a bust. He's getting drafted so freaking high. And here's why. He finished 1 game. He started and finished 1 game last year. Every other game he started, he got hurt and got taken out of. I know, and from camp he's been more than a little erratic on his throws. So he's going to use his feet. He's going to get hurt again. Bust. So that's all I'm saying on Anthony Richardson. Underrated. I agree with you, Tim. 100%. Jared Goff is underrated. And basically, I'm using the stat. You told me this like a week or two ago on the dome thing, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love you even more because I'm keeping him in our keeper league." I think, and then I'm going to OU guys, Kyler and Baker. I think are both underrated. I think Kyler's going to have
I like that.
Their team is bad, right? And he is going to throw it all over the yard. When we're talking about fantasy, he's ranked like 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that range on ADP.
Mm-hmm.
I think he ends up top 3.
Wow.
I think he could be the QB1. I mean, I think he has that outcome.
Yes. And Baker is getting drafted. He's getting drafted down on like number 23. We haven't seen him be in a stable situation, and he is now. He's got all of his weapons back, right? Like, I think this could be a very good year for him. Remember the last time he had his second year, that was really good, stable situation. What happened? He went to the playoffs and won the Browns, the only playoff game they've won in how many years? So, I think you're about to see that again. So, those are my overrated and underrated on the quarterback.
While he is
Darryl,
in the same place with same weapons, he does have a new offensive coordinator yet again, which I think Baker holds the record, has to, for the amount of offensive coordinators.
Him or Sam Bradford. Remember, go back to Sam Bradford's days. He didn't have a coordinator that stayed longer than a year or half a year.
Yeah, but Baker had 2 in 1 year.
I know it, dude. I know it.
Or 3, whatever it was that year. So, anyways,
all
somebody
right.
was about to say something.
No, I was just going to say, let's go to the running back situation. All right, same thing. Overrated, underrated. Tim, start with you.
All right, let's go underrated first. I don't know, Kenneth Walker intrigues me in Seattle. I've never been a big Kenneth Walker guy. Yeah, Charbonnet's there.
Underrated, right? This is underrated.
Kenneth Walker. This is underrated. This is underrated. Okay. I think he's going off RB17 at this point. I mean, he could have a top 12 year in him. I could see that. They just signed that. I remember Connor Williams from Texas. They just signed him. He was with Miami last year. Good center. I think I read somewhere, I listened to a podcast. I think he was the best run blocking center in the league, I believe. Have him go to Seattle for that ground game did in Miami last year with A-Chain and Mostert. Just saying, Kenneth Walker. I like him. Alvin Kamara, another one. There's nobody else on that offense. Yeah. I mean, I could see Derek Carr just dumping it off to Kamara a million times. I mean, they have Olave, but they don't really have anything else. I like Kamara. A couple deep guys. Jerome Ford in Cleveland. I don't know. Everybody saw the Nick Chubb squat video. I mean, he tore his ACL pretty bad in the beginning of the year. So who knows if he'll be back. He might miss the first game on PUP. Who knows? I like Jerome Ford. He had a great year last year. And that Cowboys starting running back, Rico Dowdle.
Did you say starting running back? It's not Zeke as RB1?
He'll be the starting running back, Rico Dowdle. You heard it here first.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. They did nothing in the
offseason. Did you even know? Oh, my gosh. Did you even know that name, Rico Dowdle?
No.
Dowdle.
No.
Let's see. There you go. How many yards? Okay, to the Zeke situation, though, to that Dallas, Tim, how many yards does Zeke end up having for the whole year?
I mean, probably not that many. He'll probably score 10 or 12 touchdowns, though, going in from the one. So he'll probably snipe all that. Dowdle will go out and have a 60-yard run, and then Zeke will punch it in from a yard out. So that's what will happen to me. But
okay.
Overrated. There's one guy I'm scared to death about. I have him in a lot of dynasty leagues. Kyron Williams. I'm just scared of him. He's been hurt. Blake Corum. Who knows what's going to happen there? I'm just scared to death of Kyron. I mean, hopefully it turns out well. Who knows though? Who knows? And then I think CMC. I think CMC is a little overrated. Already got the calf. I'm just not feeling very good top 3 guy. I just don't know if I feel that if I'm drafting this first spot to take CMC. I don't know. He'll probably be good, but
Tim, who would you draft in a PPR league? Who would you draft number 1 in a snake draft right now?
Probably Chase.
Really?
Yeah.
Over CD and JJ and Tyreek?
I think he's having a really good year.
Wow. Okay. All right. Jared?
Doing running backs, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Oh man, I think okay, so an underrated guy for me, and I think I don't know, he's been getting a lot more love, but I just love the guy, and I think I could see him propelling himself in like that top, well into the top 10 for running backs, and I'm gonna go Ramondre Stevenson. Um, the dude just keeps producing, and it was really weird to me because I know when he got to the Patriots, all you heard was praise, and you were just like, why is he not getting on the field more? And when he did get the chance to be on the field, he made plays. So I think he could really do something. And I think the Patriots might be a little bit better. I mean, they're not going to be great, but I think they might be a little bit better. So hopefully that'll help him a little bit. And then I don't know. I think here's one that I think is going to. I know a lot of people are going to hate on me for this. I think somebody that's going to be underrated. I don't think he's going to be a top tier running back, but I think he's a good secondary or even just a bench player to keep around for a bye week. And I think it's Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's actually going to produce a lot better than what people think he is. But the time will tell. I just think
nothing on a bet here.
no, but I mean, but what I'm saying is, as an underrated player, like you could pick him up late in your draft, and it's like you're not wasting a lot, and I think he has potential to still make plays.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
Daryl?
go ahead.
Nope. Don't.
Oh, no,
You have
sorry,
the other
sorry.
side of yours. You just did
So
your
yeah,
underrated, overrated.
my overrated. This pains me to say because I love him, but I just feel like he's gonna have one of those years. One, he's already got the curse, the Madden curse. And I think he's just hitting that age where we're gonna start seeing some of those things creep up on him. And that's CMC. I just think he's carried the ball a ton. And San Fran looks like they're gonna be really good again this year, but I don't know. I just have that feeling that he's just one of these years. I feel like he's only got 2 years left in him where he's really going to be able to be a prominent running back. And I think this could be that year that he starts to fall off a little bit. So.
Okay. I don't disagree with you. Daryl?
So underrated for me. My number one guy when it comes to that was actually Ramondre Stevenson as well. I know he missed 5 games last year, but if you aggregate that out and he's healthy, he has an incredible year, good year. He's going to be used a lot. He is their bell cow, so I like him. Another guy that's way down there. So when I say underrated, he's not going to be some top 5 guy, but I think if you can get him for his average draft position right now, where his ranking is right now, that I think could end up really good is Zamir White out of Las Vegas. Again, I don't think they have a lot of other options there. And I think with their quarterback situation now, I think Gardner Minshew, I think, is going to win that job. Is he good? No, but he's better than Aiden O'Connell, where everybody knew you just don't guard basically the middle of the field and everything's just fine. Will help them a lot to have some running lanes. So those are my 2, like they're way down the list that I think are guys that would be really good to have. Overrated guys. This one, I'm with you, Jared. This one hurts me because of all the years that I want this guy to have an absolute monster of a year, just because he's going to look so sick in the uniform, and it's Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry really starts to pull back, but God, him and Baltimore black and the black visor is just going to be so, like, I don't even care. Like, just make sure he's on the field every game so we can see that. It'll be awesome. But
I just want like a few weeks of us having a perfectly healthy Lamar Jackson and a perfectly healthy Derrick Henry, because that is terrifying. That is like that is the most scary thing. If I was a defensive coordinator, I'd be like, I hope our offensive coordinator puts up 70 points. Like that's what it's going to feel like.
If there would ever be a time that y'all could be like, remember when Daryl said that Derrick Henry was overrated? I would love for it to be, because those two together healthy would be so fun to watch. And then my other guy, and I wish I could give real reasons, but as I just tried to look through the list, it's like he's the guy. But Josh Jacobs, I think, is a little overrated at 12 too, just because that's going to be a split back, him and AJ Dillon. And it feels like even when Aaron Jones was running hot, AJ Dillon, I think he just has the trust of Green Bay offense there, and they run with him a lot. And so I think that's going to cut in, and they've got him. Fantasy Pros has him at number 12 right now, and I just don't think he ends up near that number with a split back situation.
He's already questionable.
Yeah. So
that doesn't help.
and
All right,
you know, and
sidebar.
Troy knows I love Josh Jacobs. Like I have been a defender of
Every
Josh
year.
Jacobs for a while.
Every year he gets them. All right. Hey, quick sidebar question. Where do you guys go for all of your like fantasy questions, research, all that? What sites do you guys go to?
I'm Fantasy Pros and ESPN because I'm lazy.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I have another one, but I can't remember the name of it now. I haven't had to use it in 2 years, so.
No, that's fair. That's fair. All right. When you think of it, come back to it. Tim, what do you use?
Mostly Dynasty. So there's this guy. It's called Analytics of Dynasty. It's Jordan McNamara. He's from Syracuse. Kind of my go-to guy for Dynasty stuff, just strategy. Basically a Cliff Notes version. It's like elite quarterbacks, elite tight ends. Play a lot of them premium leagues, like 2 points per reception for a tight end. Kind of the overall philosophy is just stacking the premiums, right? Like startup drafts, get your 2 elite guys, get the tight ends, get the old receivers, the Mike Evans, the Amari Coopers, I guess Devontae Adams now, get those guys. And then it's pretty much any running back on the depth chart, right? Just cycle through them because starting week 5, they're all going to be hurt anyway. So that's kind of my go-to guy, like Dynasty, and it's more like a strategy. Like we have a group me and a lot of bright people in there just running trades past each other, things like that. So I've been in that for a couple of years now, but it's a good little community. I look a lot at what's his name on ESPN, Mike Clay. He has projections that are pretty rocks. He's like his projections are like gold, so I check those out quite a bit. A couple other sites that I use, but yeah.
I use Fantasy Pros like Daryl. Like I'll go to ESPN, CBS, Yahoo, all of the different places. But like Fantasy Pros, where it just does the aggregate of everything, is like gives me a good snapshot. All right, so my overrated, underrated. Okay. Overrated. I hate to say this, Isaiah Pacheco. Love the dude, but for 2 years we've been talking about he's been the guy, and he hasn't gotten over 1,000 either year. They said more workload for him this year. Really, when they've got all these receivers again in Kansas City, and you got to take advantage of Kelsey while he's still there, right? Like I can see him getting 800 and 900 again, 800, 906 touchdowns.
He's amazing though. He looks like he runs like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like you ever watch the game and he just looks like he's like just gonna run through a wall. Like it's amazing to watch.
Dude,
Isaiah
he runs more violent than Derrick Henry does.
Oh,
he's just so small. If he had Derrick Henry's size and ran the way he did, there would be people die every year in the NFL. Like I love it. But also, I would say this, Troy, I hadn't thought about the way you said that. Like, I know that he doesn't get a lot of yards, but one thing's for sure, the last 2 years, the reason he gets ranked so high is because of how well he plays in the playoffs. And it's in part because they manage him through the season to make sure that he's fresh when he gets there, So,
he's running back 10 at the moment on Fantasy Pros. I'm going to go with I hate to do this to you, but Jahmyr Gibbs as an overrated dude right now. He's ranked as the 5th running back, and it's because like y'all forget David Montgomery is nothing to scoff at right now. He's still a quality running back. That's like Jahmyr Gibbs is obviously the most talented dude, but David Montgomery might be the most reliable one on that depth chart, and Montgomery's going to play third down most of the time because he's more reliable in the pass blocking game. Right. So that gets you trust with the coaches. I think he has all world talent, but I just think Montgomery, Henderson
cuts
there. And then another do what?
He'll definitely cut into his numbers.
100%. And then I've got a overrated one that dips into the underrated one because another split backfield. It's the Dolphins running backs. I think A-Chain is being overrated and Mostert is being underrated. Mostert's not going to get 21 touchdowns again. That's a wild freaking number. Like that's an incredible number. But A-Chain, the A-Chain's going as number 11, like way too high to me because Mostert's still going to get, like you said, Tim, with the goal lines for Zeke,
Mhm.
I think the same thing with Mostert. He's going to get all the goal line stuff. A-Chain's going to get 1,100 yards and maybe 4 touchdowns. Mostert's going to have 500 yards and 11 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns.
Mhm.
And so that's I think they're both being underrated and overrated at this point. I'm agreeing with Ramondre. Love Ramondre, even though he did have a kind of a crap year last year. And then I also think James Cook, because there's nobody else to combat him. Although you're right, Tim, like he's not going to get a lot of goal line touches because Josh Allen's the dude. But I like him just because he's going as number 15. I think he could end up a top 10 dude this year at the bottom 10, but I think he could. So those are my boys. All right. Let's go wide receiver. And I want to start with Tim at wide receiver.
Let's go underrated first. Like Jalen Waddle a lot this year. He's wide receiver 17, an underdog ADP, which I typically think is gold at this point. So Tyreek ever goes down, and I don't know. I mean, Tyreek, you never know with him.
Although didn't he go down like 2 games last year, and Jalen didn't do crap in those 2 games?
Waddle had a terrible, well, not terrible, just not a great year last year production wise. I mean, I could see it happening this year. You got to love that Mike McDaniel offense. Like Jalen Waddle a lot. I mean, there's so many receivers I like. I basically took the ADP and kind of found the one's value. Amari Cooper, wide receiver 26. Like, I feel like he could be a top 12 guy. Rashee Rice. I mean, he's not going to get suspended. It doesn't look like. Hollywood's hurt in Kansas City. Who knows what Worthy's already had his hamstring.
Is Rice going to be wide receiver 1, or is Xavier going to be wide receiver 1?
Rashee.
I think Kelsey probably ultimately, but
yes,
I think when you're talking about the wide receiver group, it'd probably be Rashee. I mean, who knows about Xavier Worthy? I mean, he's been already banged up a little bit. And who knows if he'll even be given? He's another Sky Moore there. I mean, who knows? I think Deontay Johnson's going to get absolutely peppered this year with targets. Like that offense, I could see him just getting absolutely peppered. Adam Thielen last year, Deontay Johnson this year in Carolina. I could see it. Here are 2 sleepers I got for you. One, Christian Watson, might like not the most expensive Green Bay receiver, probably has the most upside. If he got his hamstrings fixed, could be good. I'm still holding out hope for him. And then I like Khalil Shakir in Buffalo. Open competition there. Khalil Shakir, I think he's going wide receiver. He's in the 50s at this point. Just a guy to keep your eye on. That's like a waiver wire ad after week 1, potentially.
Ooh, that is a solid deep dive right there.
Overrated. All right, here's kind of my hot take, I guess you would say. Puka, I think, is a little overrated.
Dang it! You stole
the injury is going to kind of bail us out of this one, I think, because he's been down for a week or so. I don't know. Last year this time, you talk about the Rams offense. Last year this time, we didn't know if Matthew Stafford would ever play again.
Yeah,
goes out, has a great year. What's going to happen there? Who knows? Still have Cooper Kupp. It should be interesting. I think Puka will be good. I just can't see taking him in the first round of a fantasy draft. That's my only thing. Like if you were to get him in round 3, I could see it. I just can't see taking him at probably the back half of the first round. I don't know. And then I think Jaden Reed's just a little overrated. I wouldn't want to take the most expensive Green Bay guy. Prefer Watson. Jaden Reed will probably be all right, but there's 4 of them there. You don't know who's going to be the one. I wouldn't take the most expensive. So
love it. Jared, wide receivers, go.
Okay, underrated. I'm gonna go off the beaten path a little bit. I just like the guy, and I think, he's really, when you look at him, he's just, I don't know, he gives me that vibe, and I'm gonna go Xavier Legette. I know he's at Carolina.
Wow.
Yeah,
but
that's deep.
That's deep. Again, that's it. I'm bringing an underrated guy. It's like, hey, you got a late round, you need a receiver. I'd throw Legette on your roster. The dude, you hear a lot of positive things about him. He seems to be well liked. And the dude's produced. So I'm gonna go Legette for underrated. Another underrated guy probably is going to be, I'm gonna say another. Well, okay, I'm gonna give you 2, another off radar guy, and then I'll give you another one. Adam Thielen. Look, Adam Thielen was on my roster.
What is
so
going
many
on with the
times.
Carolina offense right now?
No
I'm sorry.
kidding.
Look, Adam
Certainly
Thielen,
not.
all I'm saying is I have to give a shout out to that guy. He's been on like so many of my teams, and it's like the dude just scores points in fantasy. I mean, he may not be a top whatever receiver, but he's a consistent, you're gonna get, however many points out of him. Like you just know. So I'm gonna give him a shout out. And then I think I'm gonna go Cooper Kupp. I think he's just a guy that I know he's been a little bit injury prone like the last year and a half. But when the dude's on, the dude's on. I mean, he's one of the best. So I think if you can get him in like a mid round, I think that's a great pickup. So overrated. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Debo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Had a little bit of injury thing. I don't know still that I believe in. I know this sounds dumb I think Brock Purdy is a really good quarterback, but I just think that offense is about to really come to like have to face, like I said, with CMC, I think having an off year. I think he was pretty banged up for a lot of last year. And some of those injuries he has are those kind that like they just kind of linger. It doesn't matter how much you rest them or whatever. They just kind of they're your thing now. So I think those combined, I just think the offense is going to take a little bit of a step back, and I think he's going to be a guy that's just going to be having to put out more than he's capable of doing with his injuries. And then my other overrated guy. Oh, this is going to be painful, and everybody's going to roast me because I love the guy and I want him to have a good season, but there's just so much stuff going on with him right now and everything with his team, and I think Troy maybe knows who I'm about to say. I still think he's going to be a top receiver, but CeeDee Lamb. There's just so much crap going on in Dallas right now with him, and I mean he's the rated the top wide receiver, and it's like I think he'll still be easily a top 10 receiver in the league. But I don't think if people are drafting him thinking he's going to have the same season he did last year with everything going on, I just think that's a stretch. As much as CD, I love you, and I want you to have a Hall of Fame career, but I just think this is going to be one of those weird years for you just because of everything going on.
All right, D, give it to us.
My number one underrated guy is Terry McLaurin. The guy is like the last 4 years is averaging like 1,100 yards a season. Over his career, he has averaged 14 yards a reception over his career in Washington. And he is like, look, Jaden Daniels may be a flop, but Jaden Daniels is the most talented guy that's ever taken a snap for him in Washington. Like, he has had nothing there and still just produces year after year after year. Love the guy. And they've got him on Fantasy Pros right now sitting at 31 with Zay Flowers, Christian Kirk, Michael Pittman Jr. ahead of him. Like, I just don't see it. There's no way that guy doesn't climb it up. The other guy that I think is underrated on the list, one of my favorites that every year, yet again, produces and does what he's supposed to do for the price that he is at, is Lockett. I mean, Lockett is just a professional, dude. He is going to go get his yards every year. He's not going to be some top 10 guy, but like when you're sitting there late going, I need another receiver and I got to have him on my team and there's nothing left and Lockett's just sitting there because nobody wants him, he's going to produce. He does it every single year. So I love that guy. My overrated guys, he is not overrated in the sense of the player that he is. He's just overrated in the situation that he's in. And that is Justin Jefferson for me. With their quarterback situation in Minnesota, I don't see him doing what he's done in the past. And I think that's the only reason he's sitting at number 4. They have lost a lot there. And so I think that will be a struggle for him. And then the other guy that I hate to say it, Troy's going to love it because, he knows why. Nico Collins is overrated to be as high as he is. There's too many weapons in that offense. Like, it's the same kind of situation as some of these guys that are ranked a top 10 running back, and we know that there's somebody else that's going to take half the carry. Like the Jahmyr Gibbs example is a great example, right? Like him and Montgomery are going to be in and out, in and out, in and out the whole game. He's not just going to thrive in that. When you have Nico, Tank, and Stefan Diggs there now, and like, I'm sorry, you're not going to go out there and just light the world on fire and be a number 9, 10, 11 wide receiver in the league. So those are
Don't forget about Dalton Schultz there too.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Overrated, by the way. Sneak preview, my tight ends. All right, wide receiver. We're going to rapid fire this because we're already over an hour. So underrated. I agree with Cup. He was one of mine. I'm going to say Drake London. You get a competent quarterback there in Atlanta with Kirk, and even Michael Penix if Kirk goes down, right? I think Drake London could start feasting. Sneak preview. Same thing with Kyle Pitts. I love me some Kyle Pitts. Daryl knows that. I love Kyle Pitts. I think he is a world beater. Stephon Diggs. I think he is underrated. I think he is like a dominant force, and I think he's going to end up taking up over most of the targets there in Houston. Overrated. I'm with Puka. I agree with both y'all. Dude, I'm having a keep in my fantasy league, but I think he's being way overrated where he's at. Marvin Harrison Jr. Love the dude, but he's going like wide receiver 10. I think that's too high for a rookie.
Yeah.
I love him, but I think it's too high. And Brandon Ayuk. Same situation as CeeDee Lamb, but worse.
Yeah.
But it's worse. He won't play for the 49ers. They can't find a trade partner. And I mean, you're talking about a dude that was a top 10 wide receiver going to a new team. We don't know how it's going to play out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have no idea. If he goes to the Steelers, cool. Great. You got, I mean, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, he turned down a Cleveland offer, whatever. I'll start with tight ends real quick. Rapid fire. Underrated. I'm stealing your thunder. Sorry, Tim. I'm going first. This is why. Jake Ferguson.
My guy.
Jake Ferguson, Kyle Pitts, Trey McBride. I think Trey McBride ends up the tight end number 1 this year. And overrated. I can't believe I'm saying this. Travis Kelce. He is getting way too old. He barely got separation, and I think the reason he's not going to end up tight end 2 is because they're going to limit his playing time this year to save him for the playoffs. Dalton Schultz, I think he's kind of a joke of a tight end. All this big hoopla, and he sucks. And Mark Andrews, you guys, love him to death. Can't stay healthy. All right, Tim, you're up.
My guy Jake Ferguson, underrated. Then here's one. I think this guy, if you just want to wait on tight end until like the last pick of your draft, I'm thinking Tyler Conklin for the Jets.
Ooh.
Well, Rodgers, they don't have a second target, so just wait until the last round. Take Tyler Conklin. It's free basically. Overrated. I kind of think Dalton Kincaid in Buffalo.
The problem is, who else is he going to throw to?
Yeah, but they still play Dawson Knox quite a bit. They played 2 tight ends.
That's true.
Knox kind of killed a bunch.
True.
Knox was hurt when he had big time numbers in the middle of the year. And we'll see. I mean, who knows? We'll see there. Those top 6 guys, if you can't get one of those, Tyler Conklin or Jake Ferguson. That's your guys.
That's fair. All right, Jay.
All right, I'm going to go somebody that I'm just going to say underrated because I think the dude is actually going to be one of the top tight ends in the league, at least within the next couple of years. So we'll see how it goes this year. He's a rookie. I'm going to go Brock Bowers, dude. I'm a super Brock Bowers fan, man.
All right, you just redeemed yourself.
So yeah, I think he's going to be, I mean, they have listed as number 11 tight end. It's like, dude, I think he's better than that. So I really like him. And then I just guess I'll give it overrated guy, David Njoku. I like him a lot, but Cleveland is such a weird situation. I just don't see that he's going to be a top 10 guy at the tight end position. And you know what? I'm going to actually echo you, Troy, as much as I didn't want to say it because I knew it might hurt your feelings a little bit. Travis Kelce, like I said, you could see last year that he just was not, like, while he still was incredible, you could really feel like it really felt when you watched him play, especially later into the season, that he had taken a couple of steps back. Like he was not the force that he was just a season or 2 ago.
And what's crazy, he still ended up tight end 3 last year.
Right.
That's what's
Yeah.
crazy. But I think that's how bad the tight end position is getting.
Well, and
Oh,
I
it's
think
getting better, Troy. It's getting better. This is the best
Yeah.
tight end we've had in years.
Yeah,
You're
I agree.
probably the last couple years it's been not great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
But
I
I
was gonna
agree
say
with you,
too.
Jim.
I even think I'll even say it if Kansas City. The other thing he could run into is if Kansas City gets where if they can get Hollywood back and Xavier Worthy back and those sorts of things. It's like that's a whole nother aspect of that game that I think is going to take the ball out of Kelsey's hands if they can get those guys healthy and playing at the same time. Because I saw people that kind of question the Worthy pick, and I'm like, dude, that's kind of genius. Like now you have two absolute blazers that you can just let Mahomes use his cannon and it's fine.
100%.
All right. D.
Overrated Kyle Pitts all day long. The guy he's a freak of an athlete. I just don't think he knows how to play the position extremely well. He's just not produced very well since he's been in the league. So I'm not finding the reason to make him a top 10, nearly top 5 pick right now. Underrated guy, I agreed with Jared Bowers. I mean, I just think that guy he is going to be wide receiver number 2, I think, in Las Vegas. And he looked excellent in their preseason game the other night. So already clicking with their quarterbacks. I think he'll have a huge year and have a long, long career.
Okay. All right. Rapid fire. Fantasy MVP. Daryl, you already gave us yours, but remind us who you said. Fantasy
CJ
MVP.
Stroud.
Okay. Tim, fantasy MVP.
Mar Chase.
Wow. Okay. Jared, fantasy MVP.
Lamar Jackson.
Okay. I'm going to go. This is a very homer pick.
Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, and they're going to win the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in a row.
Oh my gosh.
And they're going to be
I
deemed
hope
the
you're
greatest
right,
dynasty of, and they're going to be deemed the greatest dynasty of all time. Just saying.
No.
I hope
Just
you're
saying.
right.
No.
Greater than the Patriots dynasty?
No. They haven't got there yet.
Yeah, that's
5 and 7 years.
homerism. That's homerism.
Then they would have 5 and 7 years, or 4 and 6 years. Is that it? 4 and 6 years? Whatever. Anywho, what is one player that is going to lose you the league if you draft him high? Jared.
Well, I was going to say somebody, but I don't think anybody's going to draft him high. And I was going to say Deshaun Watson, but nobody's drafting him high. Just because I hate the guy. Man, if you draft high, I'm going to go Debo Samuel.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Daryl.
Between 2. I think McCaffrey. I think we're gonna start to see the wear and tear hit a little bit this year. That's the only reason. If he stays healthy, he will be in line to be the MVP. Yeah. But yeah.
He's my LMVP as well. Tim, who's yours?
I agree. I say Puka though too.
Yeah.
My secondary, if you want to say Bijan Robinson's another one. On some they have him so high, and
Bijan to the moon this year. Him and Chase to the moon with one of those little rocket ships on the X.
Yeah. I actually agree with you, Daryl, on Justin Jefferson a little bit too. You take him in the top 3 or 4, I think that could lose you the league depending because they're so dependent on the guys throwing the ball.
Yeah.
So
and with McCarthy now supposedly having a meniscus that he's going to miss
Well, Sam Darnold's looked good in camp. He was going to be he was going to be QB1.
Can you say that again? You sound just like Colin Cowherd.
Right now?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying. He is look.
Hey,
Tim, back me up. Hasn't he looked good in camp?
Everybody looks good in camp, Troy.
Troy.
Spencer Rattler's good in camp.
But what I'm going to say, Baker Mayfield from being named the starter till 2 days before in Carolina.
All right.
The other thing I'd want to say about Justin Jefferson we haven't talked about is he had a pretty sharp drop off in like the second half of the season.
No. I'm gonna disagree with you.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
On the second half of the season he didn't have a sharp drop off. He came back. He finished wide receiver 57. Again, he didn't have Kirk Cousins in these games, right? Then he finished 27th, 6th, 39, and 2nd in those games. So it's not like he had a big drop off. He still finished wide receiver 37. But if you look at fantasy points per game, for wide receiver, he finished 3rd in fantasy points per game. So it's like he didn't have that big of a drop off.
Only played 10 games too.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he was definitely not himself when he came back. Aside when he played Detroit, he looked really good against Detroit. Outside of that, he was
Yeah. Okay, so we're not going to do a top 5 to finish the pod. We're just going to say what is the funniest, the best punishment for last place that you guys have seen for fantasy football. Who wants to start?
I got it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
The Waffle House one.
Oh,
That's okay. All right.
I know it's like probably a
torture.
cliche pick, but dude, I love that one so much.
Gosh, it'd be terrible.
The fact that the guy that originally did it like live tweeted it was amazing.
that's
Tim.
funny.
What do you think here?
I don't like. We have one guy in our. This is the only one that is that redraft one that I do. The same guys came in last like 3 years in a row, so we kind of stopped with the stuff. We made him run a mile after eating like the blazing wings from Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh,
He had to do like a photo shoot one year, like an ESPN, the Body magazine, like photo. But we kind of stopped. He's so bad. Like we can't force this guy to do something every single year.
My
We're
God.
running out of
He
things.
keeps coming back for more.
Yeah, he's back every year.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's brutal.
Wow. Okay, so my question would be this. Are we saying the one that we've actually seen people do or one that we know is in the bank?
Either or is fine because we do have a bank of punishments and hours.
We have a bank of punishments, and there's one that I'm just like, bro, which was you had to eat the Joey Chestnut record of hot dogs in a week. And when we do the math on it, it's like 8.5 hot dogs a day that you have to eat for a week. It's insane. And it's like
that
at
would
first,
crush Tim's diet. Tim has like the same diet.
So
bro.
I don't like. I went to a Ranger game back in June. They had dollar hot dogs. I mean, I had 4, no problem. So I don't 8. Like it might be tough, but if you have, I don't know.
Like
That'd be
8, like
interesting.
I agree with you. Like I think day 1, that's fine. Day 5 of 8 hot dogs.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
Bro,
That's a lot of hot
I'm
dogs.
just done. Like after 8, like and then you still got 2 days to go. You know, like
Be tough.
that would be. And you know, you guys know that the week that you tell everybody you're going to do it is going to be the week where like 2 days in that week something just goes nuts at work, and so you end up having to just like shovel down like 6 like for dinner instead of like 2 or 3. Like, oh my gosh, that one, like I so did not want that one to make it in at all. That was by far the worst in the bank. That one was pretty bad. By the way, a secondary one that's actually happened. Did you see the Luke Combs
Dang
deal?
it! Shut up, Daryl. That's mine. That's literally mine. Dang it, Daryl. But no, this is mine. This is the funniest one I've seen. The worst one I've seen. Go ahead, Daryl. You explain it. You're talking.
So Luke Combs, the country singer, is in a fantasy league with his buddies, and the losers tied. And so they both had to come out at one of his concerts and sing a song to like a crowd of like 30,000, like wherever he was. But they got to pick their song and they had to sing live over the whole PA system to this whole crowd. And it went massive viral. And it's like, oh, I would be so embarrassed if I had to do that.
Dude, can't even. We did it, boys. We did our fantasy extravaganza. Tim, thanks for being on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Good to be here.
Tim, very quickly, how do we get into your dynasty information group? Where, like, is it?
Oh, it's funny because he's actually retiring after this year, basically.
Oh, last year.
So he
that's
pretty
his
much
nice way of saying he doesn't want you.
So I found out. Well, I'm not playing against you. I don't care. But I found out. So I'm a big runner. So there was last like 2 miles of my run, I stopped because every day the pod comes out at like 7:30. So I stopped last 2 miles and it said something like AOD, like future. And I was like, well, let me listen to this. It was the most depressing 20 minutes that I had. He's basically like, I'm done. So I hit that in the last 2 miles of a 20-mile run.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't know if
Did you
he's
say
still
20
taking.
mile run?
Yeah.
He's
I don't know if
one of
he's still
those.
taking subscribers or not. I can look into it and see. I'll shoot you guys. I'll shoot Troy the info if he is. It's a good
Yes.
group. It's interesting for sure. The whole strategy portion behind it's just interesting. How like you get in these leagues, everybody's taking receiver. It's like there's a million receivers, and you could fill those spots. So it's just an interesting perspective, I guess you would say, in the dynasty.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, all right. Well, I think that is it, ladies and gentlemen. We hope that you've liked it. Something that we try to do every year is do a little bit. And we finally brought somebody that knows what to do in fantasy this year. So that was great to add a little perspective. Tim, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of it tonight, man. Hope you had a good time being along for the ride.
It was great. Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. So again, don't forget to like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys listening. I'm Daryl. That's Troy. That's Jared. That's Tim. And we will talk to you guys later.
Bye, Baker.